the stamp and pay for it. And I don't think it was at all fair. So how the colonists fighted against that was, how they fought against that was they went to the stamp man's house. I believe they shouted at his windows, and they were like, and then once the stamp man came to the window to see what was going on, they had this doll of him hanging on a tree, and when he saw what was going on, he looked out the window. They set the doll on fire and started screaming angrily. I believe that's what they were trying to say, is that this would happen to him if he gave more taxes. So obviously the stamp man eventually he decided to quit his job. So then King George decided, okay, I guess we can raise those taxes, the stamp tax. And then they did something called the Townshend Act, which is you have to pay taxes for paper, sugar, tea, what else? Glass, I believe, paint, and a few other things if I'm missing any. And how the colonists fight for that is I believe they covered the people who were doing that in hot tar. And what happened, then they would roll them in feathers to make them look like a big chicken. So then King George, the ruler of Britain at that time, decided, okay, we can raise the Townshend Act for everything except for tea. So what happened was that the colonists boycotted British imports for tea. And then afterwards, what they did was eventually, I believe one of the men were Samuel Adams, but actually I'm not sure, but several men dressed up as Indians and snuck onto, since no one wanted the tea, there were like many boats at the Boston Harbor, there were many boats carrying tea because they were all left in the harbor because no one wanted it. And so one night, several men dressed up as Indians and snuck onto the boats. They snuck onto the boats, and what they did was they took all the tea and they poured it over onto Boston and into Boston Harbor, but at that time I believe it was iced over, so unfortunately it did not become the world's biggest teapot. But that was known as the Boston Tea Party. And after that, I believe several men were walking on the streets, and after the Boston Tea Party, the British raised in forces and had soldiers patrolling the streets, I believe. And then after that, several men were walking on the streets and they met up with soldiers. They saw soldiers. And so what happened was one guy was like, hey, there's that man who wouldn't pay my master for cutting his hair. And then the soldier, I believe, one of the soldier's fellows came to his defense. And one of the fellows came to his defense. And what happened was, then he knocked that dude who said that out with a club. I know, it's interesting. And so then several of his and then one dude, I believe his name is Crispus Attucks, who he was 45 at that time, I believe, and he had escaped from prison before because he was a Indian or Native American, and he led a group of protesters up from a bank, and the colonists, basically everyone, sort of crowded in around the soldiers, and the soldiers got like really frightened, and one person shot. And then what happened was they all saw Crispus Attucks lay dead with 2 bullets through his chest, and 6 other men were shot, and 4 of them died later, which a dude named Samuel Adams, he was very good at writing, I believe, he later named this incident the Boston Massacre, and he said something about killing harmless protesters. And so then harmless protesters, and then what happened was it's pretty much what set off the American Revolution, and like something else happened after that, I believe, but I'm not sure because I don't remember it fully. It's been a while since I talked about this. But then, oh god, okay, this works. Then afterwards, after I believe that was part of what caused the revolution and everything, every event leading up to it as well. And so then there's also this dude named General Thomas Gage. He was known as the old lady between his fellow soldiers because he was a big scary cat, just so you know about General Thomas Gage. And so that will be the end of this story about the American Revolution, and I hope you all enjoyed it, and see you guys in the next video. Bye!